Okay, welcome back. The last kind of word problem that we're going to talk about, at least in this chapter 2 word problem section, are called consecutive numbers. You may or may not be familiar with the term consecutive, but it's a really important word in math, and it means right next to each other. So if it says it rained for 3 consecutive days, that really means that it rained for 3 days in a row. So mathematically, if we want to just look at a couple of simple examples to get us started here, the next 2 consecutive integers starting at 5 would be the one right next to it and the one right next to that one. Those are called consecutive integers. If we're dealing with negative integers, we start at -7 and we go the opposite direction, because consecutive integers, you're always adding 1. So the next one would be -6 and that one would be -5. So those are consecutive integers. When we add the word even or odd in our mix here, that means you skip the next integer and get to actually the integer that's 2 away. So the consecutive even integers are 6. We skip 7, of course, because it's not even, and we go to 8. And we skip 9, and we go to 10. Again, on the negative number side, we're adding, instead of adding 1, we're adding 2. So that would get us -2 and 0 as the next 2 consecutive even integers. Funny enough, when you're talking about consecutive odd integers, you're doing the exact same thing. You're skipping the next number and going to the number that's 2 away. So we would add 2 to 7 and get 9, add 2 to 9 and get 11. Add 2 to -3 and get -1, and add 2 to -1 and get +1. So this is kind of what consecutive integers and even and odd integers look like in math. So when we're trying to set up our equations and we're asked for consecutive integers or consecutive even or odd integers, we set up the first integer as x. That's the smallest integer. To get to the very next one, all you do is simply add 1 to it to get to the next consecutive integer, 5 to 6. But to get from 5 to 7, you actually have to add 2 to the number you started with. And if it asked for a fourth consecutive integer, you would add 3, x plus 3. When we're doing even or odd consecutive integers, you've got to skip over the x plus 1. And so your second integer for consecutive even or odd is actually going to be x plus 2, skipping over the one that's right next to it, skipping over the next one to that, and skipping to x plus 4. So these are the variable representations of consecutive integers. So we're going to just practice a few down here. We're actually not going to solve the equations. We're just going to write the equations. So that'll make it easy and more fun. So 2 consecutive integers. So we know they're not consecutive even or odd, just consecutive integers. So our first integer is going to be x. The second one is going to be the guy right next to him, x plus 1. So in order to write the equation, it tells us the sum, there's our math, means equals. So x, the first one, plus the second one is equal to 93. And we're not going to solve it, but you could clean this up, collect your like terms, and solve for the variable x. Let's look at the second and the B and C on these, because we are now talking about consecutive even and odd. So important to look for these words, because if you miss over reading this word, you're going to get it wrong. So these are 3 consecutive even integers. So the first one is going to be x. The second one is going to be this guy right here, x plus 2. And the third one is going to be x plus 4. Now we can write our equation. Again, we're using the word sum. There's the math operation of addition. There's our is. So we're going to write the first one plus the second one. That's that guy. And you don't need to put parentheses, but if it helps you to see that you've identified all of the consecutive integers, you might want to go ahead and do it. Now we'll skip down to this last one. And now we're talking about consecutive odd integers, and we're talking about product, which of course is the math operation of multiplication. So now we've got the first integer being x. The second integer is skipping over the one right next to it and picking up that one. And writing the equation, we want the product of these two guys. Remember, we're going to use parentheses to show that we're going to multiply these two guys together, and that product is 99. And you don't have to solve it, so you are actually finished. So consecutive even and odd integers, and consecutive integers, period, these are some of the most commonly used math word problems on SATs, on any type of standardized test. So this is a good thing to get under your belt right away. See you soon.